Hey, this is Pastor Larry here, and today I want to take a look at this word joy and the fruit of the Spirit. But I want to also set a little context on some things. You know, most of the time we look at the fruit of the Spirit and we're asking ourselves, are all of these things within us? But the actual context of the passage was about groups of people. And right before it, it says, the acts of the flesh are obvious, and he names a bunch of traits that when you look at a group of people and they've got these traits within them, then they are people who are living by the flesh. And when you look at a group of Christians, you ought to see the fruit of the Spirit. And so right at the beginning, I want to point out one thing, and that is we're not always going to have every one of these things evident, but all of us together ought to reflect these things. And each of us individually want to be working more and more towards this being the pattern of our life. But once again, it's going to be a pattern. And the fruit of the Spirit is, first of all, love, which we've seen, but now joy. What does joy mean? Well, a group of people, you can understand quite easily what it means. These are joyous people. As a whole, they are happy. As a whole, they have this sense of seeing the glass as half full rather than half empty. They aren't Eeyores, if you will. And what we want to move towards in our own life to be a part of that is being the kind of men and women that are thankful at the core, that are building an attitude of gratitude, because that's what joy flows out of. Joy doesn't mean you're high-fiving everybody you meet. Joy doesn't mean every day is a good day. Joy doesn't even mean you're never depressed, because our Lord found himself in great despair, disturbed in the spirit, he talks about, sorrowful unto death. We find the Apostle Paul, the writer of so much of the New Testament, talking about being depressed and then no longer being depressed when a guy named Silas comes to him with the information that all that had bummed him out has been fixed, and now he's happy. He's not happy because he realized his salvation. He's not happy because he suddenly had some deep spiritual thought. He's happy because everything that bummed him out has now been fixed. And what I love about that is that's how real life is lived, that I can be sorrowful, I can be in pain, I can lament, I can even go through a season of depression at certain times and still have a deep, deep inner joy. Because what I'm searching for in the midst of those times is that water that's still in the glass that God has given me. And I don't see any way that we can ever produce that outside of just kind of our natural disposition as individuals. Some of us are happier or sadder or more reflective or less, whatever it would be. I don't see any way we can build it into our lives outside of, from the get-go, having an attitude of gratitude, where we're laying down markers of what has been good in our life, because every good and perfect gift in our life comes from the Lord, of the things he has done for us, where we look back in that rearview mirror and we are grateful because of all of those things when we see the trials that are out in front of us. So if you want to grow in joy, understand this: God doesn't expect you to always be happy, but what he does expect for us to be men and women that even in the darkest times, even in the hardest times, are able to be grateful and thankful. And that's what joy flows out of. Live with joy, because not only you'll be glad you do, but those around you will bring honor and glory to a Lord who gives us joy even in the darkest of times.